I don't know if it's
Welcome
going.
everybody to Dead Talk Live. And tonight our special guest is Sofia Bryant from Peacock's new show, The Girl in the Woods, the star of Peacock's new show, The Girl in the Woods. Sophia, thank you for being our guest. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I just want to thank you so much for being our guest. What is that to the side that's giving you so much issues?
There's a weird sound. I'm like, am I being haunted right now?
Oh
What's going
God,
on?
I hope not. Fiction coming into reality a little bit. So let's go ahead and get started. When you found out that you booked the role for Tasha on this, big show on a big network, walk us through what your feelings were.
Oh my gosh. I mean, excitement. I don't know. I mean, excitement, and of course, I always get excited about my character. My immediate thing that I do with any project when I know I'm gonna be working on something new is I try and pick apart my character and see how much of myself I can find in there, and um, kind of see what else I'm gonna have to bring. And something really cool we did for all of our characters to kind of help with the process, because it was also hard to, we were shooting over COVID,
Mm-hmm.
so we couldn't be together all the time. And we kind of got creative with ways to keep ourselves in our characters' shoes without always, running to our script. So we made playlists this summer of just like music our characters would listen to. And that was a huge tool for me, because there's never a quiet moment in my house. I always have something on. And yeah, I made a playlist. It was really
That is really common though. You'd be surprised how many people I've interviewed that do the same thing. It seems like music really helps actors get into their character. When you
yeah.
first read what Tasha is all about, are there any similarities between yourself and Tasha?
Definitely. I mean, I'm from New York, born and raised, hardcore New Yorker. Like, I'm never gonna stop talking about it.
Neither am
um,
I.
I Are you as well?
Oh, I'm from Queens.
Nice. Um, yeah, no, but I'm also half Finnish. My mom is from Finland, and I started my schooling there. So, um, I kind of had this weird moment where I stuck out like a sore thumb in all of my friend groups, not only my class, but almost my entire school. I got used to kind of being the only POC in my immediate environment.
Mm-hmm.
And so I definitely, had to channel back to some of that when I was playing Tasha this summer, because she's this ultimate cool city girl, but she also lives in this tiny mining town and sticks out like a sore thumb. And her best friend Nolan is kind of her, other P in that pod. They
Mm-hmm.
kind of stick around for each other. But
And help
I
each.
kind of, the city girl, but also used to sticking out like a sore thumb.
Now,
That
the synopsis, because the show just came out October 21st, it got released. I know there are a lot of people who haven't seen it yet, and they should see it. It's a great show. It's about a girl who escapes a cult, and this is where it becomes really fantasy. And this cult is protecting the world from monsters that live inside and keep them locked away behind a door. Is this your first take into something that is really into this science fiction fantasy world that you've ever done?
um this is definitely the most I've ever done. We kind of explored it in I'm Not Okay with This, but we really, really, went in with the monsters on this show. Even on set, just I'm a huge scaredy cat. Just the amount of monsters I was encountering was definitely more than any other show I've done. So it was in a sense new to me, but I'm also pretty familiar with the world, but it was a lot of fun. I got to experience a lot more of that horror aspect with this show. So
And do you like it now? Are you a little bit more at ease with it now?
I love it. If you're still asking me if I'm still a scaredy cat, yes, maybe even more so. I have so many, I guess they're funny now. I can laugh at them now, but I have so many stories of just because it was like everyone on set knew that I was terrified of everything. So it became like prank Sophia whenever we have the chance. And Doug, who was amazing, who played the Brute, is this giant. And whenever we weren't shooting, he was still kind of in the monster suit.
Uh-huh.
And so he'd around my chair and like grab my ear or something, and I would scream. And they'd be like, "Oh, Doug just looked at Doug just went over to Sophie." Like it was, everyone knew.
Everybody
Um,
knows. Everybody knows to pick
but
on poor Sophia.
yeah.
Is this your first time as, a lead role in your career so far?
Um, this I definitely would say this is kind of one of the projects where I'm leading. I did also do Never Better, which is a feature that I did with the amazing director Julianne Fox. I love you.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also coming out very soon. Completely different realm. I play a girl with CF going through the pandemic and kind of the trials and tribulations of quarantining by herself. But no, this Tasha was definitely, I had a lot more work with her character. And I had a lot of fun with her because I really felt like I had more room to explore and create her.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
So,
I hope
so tell our
more.
audience, in your opinion, what are Tasha's biggest strengths and vulnerabilities?
Yeah, she's dealing with a lot this season. A lot of internal battles. She's dealing with the recent loss of her mother, her dad's debt, and now this portal in the woods that she's learned about that she kind of gets sucked into the situation. And it's kind of because she's such a loyal friend, which I definitely would say is one of her strengths.
Mm-hmm.
She's incredibly loyal to her friends. But she also has a hard time sometimes stepping up to the plate and physically helping her friends because she gets overwhelmed so easily.
Mm-hmm.
And she also doesn't really talk about the things that overwhelm her. She kind of pushes it to the side and deals with it on her own.
Gotcha.
And you kind of get to see that in the season as well, where it's so hard to tiptoe without
I know,
giving
giving
spoilers
away
away.
spoil. It is hard. It is hard on a show that's new.
Where she, towards the end, really realizes that she has to step up to the plate, and she also has a job in this trio, and finds a way to help her friends and get over that fear of, what's to come.
And maybe learn a little bit something about herself that she didn't really know was there to begin with.
Of course.
Now, how vigorous was the audition process? This was a lead role in a big show on a big network. I assumed you had to do callbacks. Walk us through how vigorous the audition process was.
Yeah. It's interesting doing any auditions during COVID because everything is, through Zoom. I remember my very first audition I did by myself and, just sent in a tape, and then pretty soon after did a chemistry read with Misha, who plays Nolan. And that was also through Zoom. And that was a bit of a long day. We were kind of going on and off of Zoom, and we'd take like an hour break, and then we'd hop back on. And we also that's when we first met Kristen, and we really got to chat with her. And she gave us kind of the rundown of who the characters are, and then we would tweak and hop back onto Zoom. So it wasn't a super long process, but that day was super long.
Hmm.
And then not long after that, I got the call, and I was like, yeah, I will be in Portland this summer.
So when you started shooting, did you find doing this role? Did you learn about yourself as an actress, stuff that you were capable of because this show pushed you to lay it all out there? Did you learn stuff about yourself that you did not know before?
Absolutely. I think that more than anything, because Tasha has so many internal battles that she's dealing with, how to really reach for my own things that I can pull for her and the performance, but also more than that to step into her shoes more and really understand her circumstance.
Hmm.
And I think the biggest thing that I'm really proud of myself personally for is um, also letting go in a lot of moments, because I tend to get very what's the word I'm searching for?
Involved.
I
I mean, you
want
you really get into your character.
I try to perfect things to the point where it's not even productive for me
I
when it
get you.
comes to a certain point. So
Hmm.
allowing myself to kind of step out of it for a second and step back in with just a fresh set of eyes.
Hmm.
And um, even Kristen occasionally would be like, you know what, let's just do this take as like a whatever take. And that oftentimes would be the one where I was like, I felt really good about that one because you're not overthinking. And so definitely learned a lot along the way as well.
To step
Um,
outside of your own head and just like you
yeah,
said, just approach it with a fresh, mindset and see what happens.
exactly.
Now, being such a, I don't want to use the word perfectionist, but no other word is coming to me right now. At the end of the day, when you were done filming, did you did you find it hard to put the character to bed for the night until the next day? What did you do to separate yourself from Tasha when filming was done for the day?
Yeah, well, again, going back to music was a huge tool for me this summer. I also just, that's my go-to form of media that I like to kind of indulge in.
Hmm.
And so, kind of going back and just listening to an album that I really like to listen to, that I have great memories um, with friends, or watching a movie, or even reading a book or something that has a very personal memory for me, instantly kind of switches me back.
Hmm.
But it was tricky at times because we are so similar. I think Tasha is definitely me at maybe a younger age. Um, but yeah, I mean, going home, even on the car ride home, just listening to music that is very personal to me,
Yeah,
that I don't associate with Tasha at all,
gotcha.
was a really good tool.
Now, the show, like I said, debuted October 21st. How nervous were you the day before? Are you the kind of person before a show or movie of yours is about to debut? How is it going to be received? Or do you just try to tune all of that out?
Yeah, I'm so lucky I have such a good support system. um, all of my friends and family know that I do not like to watch anything for the first time with other people.
Okay.
And they completely respect that. And I wasn't necessarily nervous, but I definitely, called up my parents and my friends, and I was like, "Hey, so the show's coming out tomorrow. No, I will not have you guys over. We can all watch this in our own houses, and then we can watch it together somewhere down the line." Because going back to what I said before, I still nitpick even in post. I'm like, oh, I could have done that. Oh, I could have said this. Oh, I could have. And so I like to do that on my own, and then again, walk away from it, come back to it with new eyes, and just appreciate it for what it is, because we all did work really hard and we're all very proud of the show. And um, yeah,
So,
not necessarily nervous, but I have my ritual that I do.
so here's an interesting question. After you do view it by yourself, which is totally normal, a lot of people can't see themselves on the screen. I'm one of them. I will never watch this interview. It's just I can't see myself on the screen. I'm just way too critical. Now, when you do watch it alone, and has there ever been something you've done that you just did not like and you did not watch it with anybody else?
Yes. Yes. I will always find something to kind of
Nitpick.
criticize in myself. When I'm watching whatever project it is. But I should add, like, I also do give myself credit, and I completely will look at myself in the mirror and be like, you still did that. Like, you still did that. Give myself a high five and, like, be proud of myself. Honestly, there's always, whatever project I do, I've always had something that I am like, I remember about it, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna close my eyes for this scene because I just can't watch it. I mean, I feel like everyone does, but yes.
Yeah. We are all our own worst critics, and that is not just true for the entertainment industry, it's for everything. Now, you work with Stephanie and Misha. Once all the Zoom auditions and everything was done and you guys were together on the set, describe to us what the chemistry is like between you and your castmates.
Yeah. It was so tricky because we were shooting over COVID. So when we weren't on set, we didn't really see each other much. But everyone is super fun. There were so many moments. I had so much screaming in the show and just screaming in general because I was always terrified on set. I was like, gosh, are people tired of me screaming yet? Like, I always had this in the back of my mind. I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just sit in a corner by myself and not bother everyone with this screaming all the time. I'm not kidding you. I was always terrified. We also shot in this super dark stage for most of the mine stuff. And so, like, we really were in the dark getting chased by a literal, like, 8-foot person in this, like, monster suit. So I would always get in my head and I'm like, man, I don't want to keep screaming in everyone's ear, but I really am terrified. No, the chemistry was great. We had a lot of fun. I definitely wish we would have had more opportunities to hang out with each other off set, but COVID didn't really allow for it. Even when we first got to Portland, we all like quarantined for 2 weeks, but none of us saw each other. And even our very first read through was like over Zoom. So it was definitely tricky. And it's definitely just one of those things that with COVID, it's what you have to do to keep everybody safe. But
it's just the way things are right now. Now, you really do not see a lot of fantasy and horror mixed together. I think that's part of what makes this show so good. If you were to describe to people who have not watched this yet, is it more horror, more fantasy, a good mixture of both? Is it going to scare them?
Is it going to scare them? It scared me. I mean, it is really unique. I definitely think we kind of grouped a lot of things together. Overall, what I hope people kind of take away from it is also the kind of underlying messages and just themes that we explore. Yes, it is horror fantasy, but we also kind of explore gender identity and sexuality. And another thing that really drew me in when I first read the script was how organically we kind of bring it up in the season. It's not glamorized, and we show a lot of those in between moments,
Mm-hmm.
especially with Nolan's um, gender identity. It's not a glamorized kind of, we don't go about it in a glamorized way. I think that we kind of explore everything in a
How it would be in real life.
right. And that's what I really hope people resonate
Yeah.
with. But definitely expect, some horror and gore. That's another thing. I when we were shooting, I was like, that's a lot of blood. Luckily, I don't get queasy when I see blood, but
At,
definitely expect that.
at least you know it's fake. Now, the show has been out for a week, a little over a week. What has been the reception you have been receiving on social media from the fans? Has it been very positive? Tell us about it.
Oh my gosh, so positive. Going back to what I said before, um, it's the most rewarding thing when um, I get messages and just see people um, feeling seen and represented on screen. And another thing that I really liked about this show was that me being a Black woman and having this role, I kind of like this is a role I wish I would have seen on TV when I was younger. And so it's the most rewarding thing to hear that people feel seen and can resonate with my character and Nolan's character and Carrie. And
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, it's been super, super positive.
Now, the show also has a big action element to it. Like I said, it brings a lot of different aspects to it. Uh, Tell us about that and the action that is involved in the show.
Yeah, no, a lot of running. I um I run from literally every single monster this season. So I got my steps in this summer. No, it's really exciting. I love the action aspect of it. Especially being in the woods, we really kind of, when we were on set, we all kind of felt like we were transported into this universe that was created. Um, yeah, it really adds, even for us, the actors, it gives us a lot to play with. And I mean, I love actions.
Now, one of the real big standouts when it comes to the first episode are the costumes. Really beautiful, elaborate costumes done by Aaron Aldridge Orr. Um, and it really plays well into the story. What were your thoughts on those costumes and just the work that went into making them?
Yeah. Um, yeah, no, they were awesome. All of the colony stuff looked so great, and it really added to, again, just being on set and having everyone, dressed in their colony gear really made you feel like you were transported into this universe. Another great tool to kind of help us get into character, especially um, so hard to talk about the show without spoiling anything, but when Tasha and Nolan are also kind of faced with Carrie, I'll say,
Yeah,
um, it really was one of those things where you can see how different um, the colony world is, and then Tasha and Nolan in their like X, Y, and Z every day.
yeah.
It was really awesome. I think we did a great job with showing how drastically different uh, the worlds are that all of the characters come from, and then it adds to the beauty when they all come together at the end and kind of form this
What are your
monster-ending trio.
thoughts when a story is told beyond just dialogue? Like in this case, the costumes. A lot of directors like to focus on colors and sound, and there's so much, and every director and filmmaker has their own thing. Just the costume, for example, and what we were just talking about. How important is that, do you think, and as you're learning it throughout going through this industry, it is to a television show, to a film, and whatnot.
Yeah, no, it's just another tool to kind of um, explain the story. I think that, um, like what I said before, um, with the costumes, it adds to, um, you can really see how different the worlds are that Carrie comes from versus Nolan and Tasha. I mean, it just adds to the world. It adds to the universe that we're creating for the show, and um, yeah.
Now, one of our prior guests was Jacob Chase, and him working alongside with Kristen, they've developed something really special. What are your thoughts on working with them with this?
I love both of them. We had Kristen first. Kristen was our director for kind of the first block of the season, and what was really cool, and um, we in the cast would always talk about how cool it is to see the different things that they bring, because they are different people directing the same show, the same series, and the same season. Kristen is awesome at just nailing it every time. Like, we came in every morning. Kristen knew exactly what we had to get done for the day and what she wanted it to look like, and we always got it done. Jacob is so detail oriented, and it really really shows. Especially because we do a lot of the kind of horror and gore towards the end of the season. It was like this beautiful balance of, I mean, two brains coming together to create this masterpiece. It really was super cool to see each of them bring their strengths
Yep,
to
yep.
the same
I agree.
same show.
I agree, and we as the audience get to see that as well. Now, you've done numerous television shows so far. Where does the Girl in the Woods sit with you? Has it been the biggest project that you've been on?
I think it definitely goes hand in hand with I'm Not Okay with This. I'm Not Okay with This was definitely one of my first really big projects. Um, just as exciting. I am equally as proud of it. Yeah, it's I don't know. I can't really choose. I think they're equally as big.
Now, season one is 8 episode season. Is that correct?
Yes.
And they're pretty much a half hour episodes each episode. Uh, would you wish it was more an hour? Which is I guess has become the norm as opposed to a half hour. Or do you think 30-minute episodes are just enough time to capture what needs to be told in each episode?
I mean, I think with more time, you always have the opportunity to do more and show more, but I think that we really kind of encapsulated the show perfectly within the time that we had. Um, so sure, if they were an hour long, I'm sure we could add some more things in there. But I really think we did a good job with telling the story with the time that we had, and yeah.
Now, as far as what you're allowed to say, do you know if this series is going to continue beyond 8 episode first season, or you don't know, or you're not allowed to say?
I don't know. I'm just really excited, to see how people are responding to this. It's only been out for a week.
You don't know.
Uh, but of course, crossing my fingers. I'd love to go back.
You'd love to go back and do another season, and I don't see why not. It's getting great reception by the fans, critics. I don't listen to critics anyways, so I want to thank you so much, Sophia, for coming on our show. It does stink when the show is brand new, and you got to really tiptoe against those spoilers and not give away too much.
Yeah.
But I think we did a good job of getting people who have not yet watched this to go out and give it a try. Guys, it is available on Peacock. The show is called The Girl in the Woods, starring Sofia Bryant as Tasha. Check it out. You won't be disappointed. Like I said earlier, you don't really get to see the fantasy element brought in with the horror element that often, and they do it really well on this show. And that really is a testament to the directors like Jacob Chase, Kristen. They do a great job of balancing it all. Sophia, any final thoughts you want to share before we go tonight?
Hey, I hope people continue to enjoy the show. And yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And when the season's over, hopefully we can bring you back and we won't have to worry about spoilers too much. I
Yes.
want to thank Sophia. I want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Stay safe. On behalf of Sophia, Brian, and myself, stay walking. Good night, everybody.
Bye.